In this video, we are going to talk about 7 types of limerence you can experience as a fearful avoidant. I am Pauline, and I am so happy you are here because one of you asked me to talk about limerence, and I didn't know that word. So I looked it up, and it's a state of infatuation or obsession with another person that involves an all-consuming passion and intrusive thoughts. And I might not know the word, but I definitely know what that is. And there are several ways that you can have an all obsessive, all consuming passion. Um, Triggers almost for a fearful avoidance to love somebody that much. And I say love like that. I know some people hate it when you use air quotations, but I use that because it's not really love. It's a way to make yourself feel better. It's a projection of what you hope this person can do for you. It's never really about the person themselves when it's such an obsession and passion. And this is so different from what we see in the movies, where the intensity of our feelings is a prediction of how happy they are going to be, even though we never see the actual longevity of the relationship. We only see them getting together. But in the media, this limerence type of love, this all obsessive infatuation and passion, is being portrayed as the love, the best love, even though it just has nothing to do with that specific individual person, even though it feels like it is pretty much always a way to heal wounds, um, to feel safe in a way. So let's go over these 7 types of limerence that you can experience as a fearful avoidant. The first one is saving someone. And saving someone, you can also call it a savior complex. You can have very intense very intense feelings, infatuation with somebody that needs saving, that is struggling, and you think either consciously or subconsciously, I can help this person, I can save this person. And that can make you feel like the hero, that can make you feel special. And that is something a lot of fearful avoidants want to feel because they feel safety in that. When you are the hero in somebody's life, when you are the one that saved them, there's almost this unspoken um, expectation that then they will be bound to you for the rest of their lives because you were the one that saved them. And so there's a lot of safety in that for fearful avoidance, which is why it is so easy for a fearful avoidant to completely lose themselves in loving someone or having very intense feelings about someone that needs saving, because that gives you, that warrants that very special position that a fearful avoidant brain thinks is safe. So I definitely will go over the rest, but a lot of this limerence, infatuation, obsession is really just seeking safety. And it sounds weird because these feelings are very intense and very not safe, like not stable, not boring, even though safe sounds boring, but you are looking for safety in the sense of just 100% security that somebody won't leave you. So saving someone is definitely one. And I think with all of these types, nobody does this on purpose, like very consciously. Oh, I'm going to look for somebody to save so that I'm special, so that I will be safe. That's not how it works. But when you subconsciously feel like you can save somebody, you might lose yourself in loving that person because there is the possibility, the opportunity to have that hero status, have that special status where you're safe for the rest of your life because they will be eternally grateful that you saved them. So that's the first type of limerence. The second type is being saved. So having somebody that is almost a knight in shining armor or a goddess on a horse, whatever you want to paint the picture as. Um, when you feel as shitty as a lot of fearful avoidants feel, it is so logical that you would fall crazy in love with a person like this. And I say crazy in love, with which I mean infatuation, obsessive, all consuming obsession. Because as much as we want to say that we take responsibility for ourselves, wouldn't it be so easy to just be saved? I mean, it's hard having the fearful avoidant attachment style. It's a struggle, and it could be that you feel like you're surviving, and in a way maybe you are. So it would be so amazing if there would be that knight in shining armor that could just swoop you up, take you away into the sunset, and everything would be well. They would take away your pain. They would take away your insecurities, your worries, because they are just so amazing, strong, powerful, whatever you need. So a lot of fearful avoidance, one moment or another, will have this limerence type of love towards somebody that appears strong and that they feel can take their pain away and save them from all these negative and frustrating and confusing feelings they have. And I think I had this too when I met Aryan, my then boyfriend, now husband. And the trap with this is, the scary thing is that I did not see him as a person. He was not allowed to have emotions. He was not allowed to have needs. He was not allowed to put up boundaries, because that would mean that he wouldn't be able to save me. He was my knight in shining armor. He was my rock, and so he had to be perfect. That is absolutely not a healthy base for a relationship. And so I had to take responsibility for myself, and I didn't like it, and I bitched and moaned about that. But I had to do it because otherwise it wouldn't be a relationship. And I would be constantly frustrated and disappointed that he couldn't really save me, and it felt like he wasn't trying hard enough. But in reality, nobody can save another person. You are the only one that can save yourself. So that's what I had to do. I had to save myself. And but being saved, having this fantasy almost that there's somebody that can save you from your pain, yeah, it's real for a lot of fearful avoidance, and it can last for a long time. And it is actually standing in the way of you healing the fearful avoidant attachment style, because it makes the victim role just so very tempting. Because as long as you're not completely strong and powerful, there's still that chance that you will be saved. And there's a part of you that will keep hoping for that. So part of healing was really just taking responsibility again and again, and seeing where I was still slipping into that victim role, wanting to be saved. Because when you do that, you don't take responsibility, and you back away from your own personal power. And that's where a lot of the healing is. So yeah, this whole being saved can definitely create some very intense feelings, but it's not a healthy way to healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. And it just doesn't work. It just creates disappointment and frustration in both the partners. Then the third type of limerence is being valuable through their accomplishments. So you see this a lot with the ideation of superstars, of singers, actors, but also sportsmen, athletes, where there's just obsessive infatuation, again, having nothing to do with that person, their soul, their wants, their needs, their fears, their all those things. But a lot with the fact that they've accomplished something that is deemed valuable in this society, and therefore when they choose you, you are valuable too. So you want to be special again, you want to be chosen, and you want to be valuable through their accomplishments. And this usually has a lot to do with the belief that you are not valuable and you are not capable of doing valuable things. And so the only way to be valuable is to have a partner pick you who is valuable in society's eyes, if you can still follow me. So another reason why you can be so infatuated with just famous people or people that have such a that have accomplished a lot is because you put them on a pedestal. We've talked about the pedestal before. The pedestal causes you to not be able to really connect. So as soon as you put somebody on a pedestal, or you look down on somebody and you put yourself on a pedestal, there's no possibility for connection. That is just when you're equal. And when you have this limerence for somebody that has accomplished a lot and you therefore think they're more valuable than you and you put them on a pedestal, it feels safe because there's not really the chance for connection. So that's the two reasons why this type of infatuation is possible, triggered. When you become obsessed with somebody who is accomplished in whatever way. The fourth one is being wanted, and mainly sexually. So there could be that person, and this might be for talking from the female perspective mostly, that says, I need you, I want you so bad. And I've talked about this in a previous video where when you've grown up with a lack of connection and a lack of attention, then when you're a grown up, you have one added thing that you didn't have as a child, and that is your sexuality that you can put into play. And when somebody then passionately wants you, desires you, that can create that type of infatuation where you are trying to heal that wound of not getting enough attention, not getting enough connection when you were a child. So being desired sexually and not necessarily emotionally is actually a trigger for the fearful avoidant, because a lot of fearful avoidants are scared of that true connection. So what happens is this usually happens with emotionally unavailable partners, that having sex is a very moment bound thing. It just happens in a moment, and then when it's over, you get to retreat back again so that you don't need to be connected all the time. So that moment of sex is the moment you connect, and then when you are with an emotionally unavailable partner, they will retreat, and then you are safe again because you don't have to deal with the possibility of connection. And I talk about this in a lot of other videos, so if you're like, wait, what? Huh? Watch my other videos on this. But yeah, so being wanted sexually by an emotionally unavailable partner, that can be very much a trigger for this limerence and infatuation, because it's very clear for you what you need to do to get their attention. And then it's also very safe that they retreat right after, and there's not a lot of emotional connection there because that's what you're actually quite scared of. Then the fifth one is drama and chaos and a roller coaster. And that could be in a relationship, it could be in a sort of relationship, but the drama and chaos can be very addictive for a fearful avoidant because it feels familiar, because there's just a part of you that craves those highs and lows, the push and pull, the toxicity, because there's a lot of intense feelings involved. And so you are constantly in this cycle of having a lot of drama and chaos and things going horribly wrong, and then having to make up for it, and that high, that adrenaline rush when you've worked really hard and things seem to be okay again, only to have them fall apart again a couple days, hours later. So that creates a roller coaster. That creates just a lot of drama and chaos. But for some fearful avoidance, especially if you haven't healed yet, that can feel very addictive. And so you can be very infatuated with somebody that triggers that pattern in you. And then the sixth type is addicted to approval. So this means you could have this infatuation or obsession with judgmental people, and people not wanting you, just specifically not wanting you. I I explained the story about my whole obsessive ordeal in a video called How to Stop Obsessive Thinking, I think. And that was because somebody did not want me. That was the trigger for the obsession, the absolute all-consuming infatuation and obsession with this person. It was just the fact that he didn't want me. And that can be a trigger for a lot of fearful avoidance. That triggers, oh, then I have to prove that I am valuable, that I am worthy, that I am desirable. And so you start working really hard and you start being obsessed with this person. You place their approval on a pedestal. When they choose you, you will be good enough. And that can just come with this obsession, complete obsession. But yeah, this obviously comes from you not accepting yourself, you not approving yourself. And so you're looking for it from external factors, and you will not fall for somebody that gives you that approval without working for it, because you believe that you are not worthy of approval and you have to work for it. So unless you heal that dynamic, you will have a tendency to fall for the ones that don't approve you, that judge you, and that don't want you, which is super duper frustrating. But you can heal that, just so you know. So that was the sixth. And the seventh is being the one that changes or tames them. So this is a recipe for toxic relationships. And sadly enough, it's also one that's played out in movies a lot, where the prospect is just living a wild life, or is hard to pin down, all those kinds of words. And then there is this one girl, because usually these are romantic movies and it's very standard girl boy story. And then the girl is the one that changes him and that tames him. And that could really come with obsession also. Just so it could be a partner that's actually quite willing. It doesn't have to be somebody that's emotionally unavailable, but there is something about them where nobody else was able to do this thing. Nobody else was able to help them, or nobody else was able to pin them down or tame them. I mean, even those terms, right? Or what a lot of women have is that they wish somebody wants to change for them, would change for them. And you do that because, again, that would mean that you're special. If you're the only one that he will change for, that he will be pinned down for, then you must be special, and then he will stay with you forever. Obviously, that's not true. It's not because of that. I made a video on that too. The reason why a securely attached partner chooses their partner. Person chooses their partner. But yeah, that's also what is shown a lot in movies. So that's what we grow up with. But thinking that you are the one, you are going to be the one that tames them or that changes them, can definitely also trigger this type of limerence. So these are 7 very specific types of limerence that you can experience as a fearful avoidant. Let me know in the comments below if this was valuable to you, if this was eye-opening, if there were new things that you learned. I always want to know. And if you're ready to break this cycle of limerence and not real true love, because if you pay attention to all these 7 types of limerence, They are never, never about the person. And so they are also not really about you as a person. They are always about healing old wounds, getting attention, really ego focused stuff, which is not bad. It's not wrong. It's just unhealed, an unhealed fearful avoidant attachment style. And it does create a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, exhaustion. So when you're ready to really break through all of this, it is so possible. Check the link in the description below to my online program, Healed and Happy, where we go to the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style so that you can release this pattern and a lot of other patterns also, so that you can experience freedom and real true love and connection. As always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.